Okay, it says we're live. Okay, probably have about, oh, look at that, somebody's already told me to kiss off. All it said was hi and said, what a dork. Let's see, let's looking at you, flip to me, flip. I look like a granddad. Now it's going to flip. Okay, hi guys. Hello world. You're at the Terry Moore panel, and there's all my peeps. So I don't know if all these people will find me, but I'll just set the phone right there, and if somebody starts taking the clothes off in the audience, I'll let you know. I'm Terry Moore, and you wandered into my panel by mistake. Thank you for staying. And we're here to talk about the books and what's next and what we have on the table and San Diego Comic-Con and what you guys have been doing for the last year, what I've been doing for the last year. I've been binge working for the last 6 months. I don't know what you guys have been doing. Hi, I haven't seen you yet. This room is full of friendly faces. So many of you guys come to see me every year for 20 plus years, and it just warms my heart. It's like a family. It's like I have a California family that we meet here. So thank you. Speaking of family, let's take a moment to send our hearts out to Maida, my webmaster. She passed away on Monday, doing exactly what she loves. I've known Maida since the very beginning, in 93, 94. I met her because she was in a she costume. She was the first cosplayer I've ever seen before there was cosplay. She looked great because she was a Taekwondo expert, and 5 years in the course. One of the smartest people I've ever met. You could not lose her in a conversation or pop references. You could not lose her. She was in front of you all the time like a master soccer player. Just a fantastic person, and she organized, or was one of the first organizers of the SIP list, which was the first Strangers in Paradise fan club online back when there was things like CompuServe. And you had to type in code just to log into your computer. So Maida was always in tech, and she built our first website, and that's the website that stands today. I haven't changed it or updated it. It's still built in frames, and but it worked. It worked for us. It was like having that one band. I don't want to change bands. So Maida's been with us the whole time. Well, so Maida loves motorcycles, and she bought a wonderful motorcycle and took the trip of a lifetime to go ride her motorcycle out to the Northwest. And while she was on the trip, she got crossways with a semi-truck, which is really, I hear that more than once with these things because they don't see it. They don't see motorcycles. But I know that if you look at the pictures from her trip on her Facebook page, every picture she posted was huge smiles. She was happy and doing exactly what she loved to do, and what more can you ask for? And her resume is killer. Her resume is just super long. So she lived an action-filled life. And she was very dear to all of us and everybody that knew her. So to Maida, let's send love to her family. So Maida loved these books, and she liked Rachel Rising and Strangers in Paradise and Echo and all that, and helped us get those out to you. So about Rachel Rising, the omnibus is here. When I was taking pre-orders for this, I was saying to the people in the world, if you will give me a lot of money right now up front, I'll go make this big book, I promise. And I felt like a shyster, like a guy on a corner, But people took faith in me, and we sold this book out in about a month and a half. And not this one, but the black on black on black on black on black special one. This is the softcover retail version. Super, super, super cheap at $55. 900 pages with the colors, all the covers in the back. So if you were trade waiting or omnibus waiting, you still get the covers. And it's printed in Canada, and the printer was so worried about this book and getting it right that they said they lost sleep over it, and they redid several times. And when you look at the printing inside, it's super crisp, super gorgeous, the paint, the black levels and all that. And for the first time ever, I had the wherewithal to make the margins wide enough so the art doesn't slip in. So, and it's big. It's like a family Bible. So this is The World According to Rachel. There's a hardcover in green, the original green cover. The green is the hardcover. It's $75. The red is the soft cover. The black on black. There's only 2 left of the green. I'm being told, live tweeting by my friend named Tweet. And the black on black one, the limited edition pre-order one, that's sold out. And we're hand delivering them to people that said, I'll pick it up at San Diego. And when we go home, we're going to go ship them all out, the rest of the 700 or 690 that were not picked up here. Which means I got to go rent a U-Haul and, look like I'm moving my apartment or something. And it also means I'm going to be wearing gym shorts and bad socks, which is why I don't tell anybody where I live, because I don't want you to see that. To celebrate these books and the end of the series, there's also a new T-shirt, and it looks like this. That's for the Periscope world. So I like the fact that people don't know what this is. So if you're walking around on the show floor and they see malice erupting out of that bashed head that Lilith bashed in with a skull from somebody else's head, at least maybe they'll wonder what that was, and they'll want to see that. I'm just going to send this over here. Like a rock concert. Here it comes, folks. It's like throwing a chair into the audience. There's also a new 2016 sketchbook that has a lot of sketches in it. And I've noticed that just this year, for some reason, I've been sketching better. I don't know why. So I'm happier with this sketchbook. And then I did a bunch of sketches for the show to sell at the table, and they turned out better too. So I don't know what the problem is. But the art's cool. I'm happy with my art. You may have noticed, did anybody here read through the end of Rachel? Okay, so watch the spoilers. All I can tell you about the end of Rachel is keep turning the page. There's some things left unfinished in the story, and I do that on purpose. The story goes on. We're the ones who step off, but we do get the closures that we absolutely need. So I won't leave you just hanging out there on the edge of the building. There is great closure, but there's more, and they went on, and it has to do with because I have an attitude. I always feel like the people's story goes on, and we're the ones who stop following them around, So this one kind of does the same thing. Can somebody tell me what both Rachel and Lilith are missing? Who said that? Yes. Here, this one's yours. Rachel and Lilith are missing belly buttons.
You don't have this thing to watch.
Yes, you're welcome. You don't have it yet, so that's good. So I drew a sketch of Lilith, and she doesn't have a belly button in the sketch, and it looks weird as anything. And I know that there's actually a medical syndrome where some people's belly button closes back over entirely, and so there are some people out there that have that. I've never seen one on the beach, but if we were just in conversation, at some point in the conversation, you may say, how's it going with the TV show? So let's talk about it for a second. How's it going with the TV show? It's going really well. And I don't have a big announcement for you because if I did, there would be somebody else here with me. But it's no longer me with a dream and a script and an option and one producer. So I got past that really common San Diego syndrome. That's about where a lot of people can get with an option. Now it's I'm greenlit, I'm banked, I'm funded. You're talking about a $40 million TV series, right? A season. So that's the really hard part. And I was hoping to have an announcement for you here about who the director would be. Signing the director is a big deal because when you get the director, then the networks know that's bankable. And then after the director, you get the star. The star and the producers help you. The director and the producer help you pick the star. But the contracts are done, and they're supposed to be sending them back, and the other party's attorney is just very slow and methodical because there's a lot at stake. So we thought we would have news on Monday. We thought we'd have it yesterday. I thought I had it this morning. I don't have it, but it's looking good. So if that falls through, it's just going to be, there's going to be 100 people in the bar tonight. So my point is, it's not about me. It's not about my dinky little option. It's a big deal now with a lot of people trying to talk a lot of other people into spending a year of their life on something. So I'm impressed by the movement, the swell, the undercurrent of it all. It's just like it's starting to turn into a machine. But I'm still at the heart of it. I wrote the pilot. I'm going to be on the writing team. I'll be very involved. So I have high hopes for it. We'll see what happens with it. Yeah.
Is the commitment they gave you for a certain number of episodes?
That's a network thing. So,
You do the pilot.
yeah. I'm in bed with the production company. And the production company wants to handle everything, make everything. And the network contract is just for airing it. The network doesn't make it, but they will say, they will order 6 shows, 8 shows, 10 shows, 13 shows. So that that's part of the deal.
They haven't done it.
We don't have a network. What we have is a production company who's almost signed a director. We have a script that everybody likes for the pilot, and the whole paper package. So once we get the director signed, we'll be scheduling meetings at the networks, and then the small core team of us go to these meetings and try to convince people why they need this on air. And if we talk one of them into it, or 3 of them into it, then there's a bidding war. Yay! And then we find out where we are. I don't think I'm slitting my throat by saying I sure don't want it on network. It's not going to be on ABC, or that's not going to work because there's no obstacle course. So that's Rachel. It's looking good, but I can't say anything official. And the other thing that got picked up recently again was Echo. There wasn't a thing on Echo for a long time. A guy had it optioned, just a typical option. And then it lapsed, and I sat on it for 6 years. And he came back and said, no, okay, I've got a new production group based out of London. We've already done some projects. We're strong. So we want to do Echo next, and here's a contract. So it was a great contract. Yes, I can be bought. And again, the stipulation is I write the script. I've just been burned by fan fiction, even at the highest level, when other people try to write this. It's not a shooting script, it's the actor's script, which is what I can do, right? I'll let somebody else write the technical script. But so Echo is going to be in the works too. That's what I'll be hopefully dealing with in the fall and over the winter time and all that. And hopefully by the time we get here next year, I'll have other people with me and we can introduce you to faces and all that. So that's it for all the books. The only thing that's not tethered right now is Strangers in Paradise. Stranger in Paradise is one of those things that my agent likes, but nobody else knows what to do with. If you had to go into a bank with somebody you've never met and talk to a banker in a suit, one of those guys who's playing golf after your meeting, well, how would you explain Strangers in Paradise to him and have him give you a ton of money for it? That's the problem with Strangers in Paradise. It's so many stories, it's so long, that just going in there and trying to sell it with excitement in 5 minutes is not, it's hard to do. So again, I'm going to have to write a script or something, commit to it.
I think at one point I remember you saying something about possibly doing Parker Girls.
You keep saying that.
That's why I never said that. You're making that up.
I get asked about Parker Girls all the time. Tambi, assassin.
I mean, that seems like you could have a better conversation with your bank.
That was actually suggested years ago. Like, okay, let's go with something like that, and then work the rest of it into it as fattening the story out. Because it's easy to quantify Tambi and Cherry, the gun girl, and we all love them so. But yeah, there's a lot of Strangers in Paradise. It's like three blind men trying to figure out an elephant, and they're all on different ends. So it depends on which end of Strangers you're on, looking at the moment, as to what it is. Is it comedy, drama, romance? Which in today's terms, that's called a hot mess. And I think what I need to do is go home, go to my happy place, and write something that pulls it together for the new format. So I'm going to have to do that. The problem is I've been binge working on the comics, so which brings us to when I'm going to start binge working again on the next comic in November. Before I came here, I was soliciting the next issue. I was supposed to solicit it for October, but I was running around like a chicken with my head cut off. And so if I didn't solicit for November, Robin was going to put me in the timeout seat. So once again, you've heard me say this story before. I have all these ideas in file folders in the desk, and I think, oh, that'll be good, I'll do that. And then when the time comes, I look through the file folders and I go, seen that, done that, It's just when you're standing in front of the freight train going, oh, Long Johnson, it's not necessarily the story that you want to save you. So I actually, once again, I've done this before, I had all those ideas and I just threw them away. And I just laid down and meditated and thought about what makes me happy. And I remembered the last time I concepted a story that made me really happy, and I tried to do it. And now I'm going back to a story idea you may have heard before, which was I had an idea for a book after Echo. And I announced it that I was going to do it online somewhere. And somebody else said, oh, we're already doing a book with that title. And so I went and looked at their little URL they gave me, and it was two guys who had a bad drawing and just a name and nothing. But I didn't want to mess with them because one of them was sort of in the industry, and I thought, oh, well, whatever, I'll go think of something else. So I came up with Rachel Rising. I went back to my Dead Girl idea from the DC days. Well, so I never did pursue that idea. And for the last 4 years, people have been asking me, when are you going to do that? When are you going to do that? We love that one. And I almost feel like I have to do this. So the next series is going to be Motor Girl. And if you've heard of Motor Girl or seen that sketch, it's this really cool, kick-ass girl living in the desert who's a mechanic. She favors old Indian motorcycles, and her BFF is a gorilla. This big, mean-looking gorilla. And in the solicitation, which you'll see soon anyway, but I got my copyright stamp by doing the solicitation. The first issue is that they're running a junkyard together out there, a scrapyard. And she's out in the middle of the Utah desert, and a UFO comes and visits the scrapyard looking for spare parts. And when they find out that she's a reliable source for this, she starts getting all kinds of business. And it attracts the attention of an Area 51 agent who comes to investigate. And that's what you're going to see in the first series. So you can tell that I'm just going to get a little bit out of my box. We're not going to be sitting in the living room arguing on the couch. I'm very excited about it. That's what I'm looking forward to next. And that's why I didn't do it last time. It was supposed to be in Rachel Rising's slot, but this time I'm moving forward like a freight train. If somebody else says, oh, that's my idea, you have my permission to stomp them on the toe. I would love to do color. But to be honest, that adds $1,600 in the coloring fee and just a little bit more in paper and all that. And it adds time on the schedule. You know, I always work late to the deadline, my lame excuse is, hey, that makes me timely. You know, you're reading something I wrote just yesterday. I can talk about the latest speech. But if working with a colorist, you know, I have to have my act together and be on schedule, which is, you know, it's hard. So I'm really trying to talk myself into color, and I know two guys who are I love them. They're the best in the world. Either one of them could do a great job. So we're talking to them and seeing about being able to afford it. Okay, here's the catch. If Motor Girl comes out and has orders of 4,000 copies, we're all ruined for life. You too, you'll be bankrupt for life. The series will tank. I can't afford to do it. So I'm hoping that it has to have sales of like 8,000 in order for me to still pay the rent and pay the colorist and still keep it going. So one of the reasons why Echo and Rachel Rising ended was because the sales just were falling and falling and falling until they got to about 7,000. And when they get to 7,000, I'm out because I can't keep everything afloat. Even though, you know, the hardcore fans are just so supportive and I feel so much love and everything, but it's not you, it's the rest of Comic-Con. Trying to get their attention is just so hard with the juggernauts that are out there. And hey, that's just the way the world works, and I'm lucky to be here, and I get to do what I love. So hey, no complaints whatsoever. I'm hoping that if I can get some of these books into other medium, it'll make things more exciting, and we can bring some of these stories back and finish them or do more. So that's kind of where we are. That's everything in a nutshell up to this point. We have 214 people with us in the room off of Periscope watching the deal. If you guys have any questions for them, I'm sure they don't want to talk to you. Okay, so I guess what we'll do is we'll open the room for questions. If you guys have any questions, you know I'm way too honest. So be careful what you ask me because I may actually tell you what you want to know. Yes?
A few years ago you said something about a stranger's coffee table book.
Oh yeah, he's asking about a coffee table book. That's the Strangers in Paradise Treasury, and I did it right after issue 60 of Strangers in Paradise, so it wasn't through the whole series. And it was a big square coffee table book, about 300 pages, all in color, and it was kind of the behind-the-scenes, director cut info. It showed my first drawing, you know, and all that. I did that book through HarperCollins, so nobody really saw it in the comic book industry, and they didn't sell it well. So I have the rights back, and I want to do it. And I'm going to finish that book all the way to the end of the series, fatten it out. It would be like a 400-page thing, and put it out for the 25th anniversary in 2018, 2017 or 2018. I think it's is the 25th anniversary. So there'll be a big SAP bunch of stuff in 2018. And if I'm not here for it, you guys do it. So, thanks for remembering that. That's obscure. Yeah, thanks. Do you have an original one? The first one? It's out there. I mean, it's not that expensive either. I see them. So, anybody have two of them? You can flip one of them right now for about $5,000. Look, he's already got a connection. He's going to get one. This is like connection place. They did a soft cover. Yeah, if you want a hardcover, we can do one. I mean, you're on the board of directors here. You guys showed up. It's your company. And you guys do. Any other questions?
Yes, no.
No? Yes.
I remember Comixology being really shocked that you were on Comixology as early as you were. Do you have like thoughts about doing that and like the subscription model?
Did you want to eat vegetables, yes or no?
I love digital comics. There's a place for them. If you're going to get on a plane tonight and go to Europe, you don't want to take this 900-page omnibus with you. But you want it on your iPad, so that's the place for digital comics. You know. And you find digital is a great way for fast reading, convenient reading, disposable books, things you want to read once. And then when you find something you love and adore and want it physically in your house, you know, the print book is there. So it all works. It's like TV and radio getting along. You know, they're two different things. I don't care what medium I'm on. If you look at an old musician, he's been on every format there is. He doesn't care. That's my attitude. So, on Periscope, somebody asked about any more how to draw books. I have more work that I could do, but at this point, it's not really what I'm thinking. I think I'd have to go back and recharge my batteries to have more constructive stuff to say about drawing. One thing I learned about drawing was that in having to draw for 20 years, whether I wanted to or not, is a great way to actually get further. It's like being in boot camp. They make you work out even when you're tired. If you were home, you would have stopped. The sergeant makes you keep going, and at the end of it, you're way stronger than you would have been. You know, so drawing on a deadline and drawing things that not just stuff I like, but stuff I don't like, but I have to keep drawing it and find a way to make it look good, like a building or a four-legged, you know, wombat. You know, that kind of drawing. Well, that's my 10,000 hours, right? There you go. It's that syndrome. There's something to it. You do best what you do most. And a lot of people who come up to me with portfolios, they'll have just a very limited amount of work in there. And they've worked on it for a year. And I'm thinking, you're not drawing enough. Just draw more. So, yeah. And then you first.
I collect original art, as you were all aware. I like to love your original art.
Hold on,
And I don't know
let
if
me
you
get the
wear
other side of it.
IDW or even graffiti. I know they do all your shirts. They've got the gallery edition of Dark Knight. IDW's done a lot of artist editions. Have you ever considered doing any of your books full format?
Here.
You know, with all the words and all.
Yeah.
Okay, that way you can get it on your arm.
My art doesn't have words. It has big gaping sores and a lot of Dr. Pepper stains and chocolate. My art is covered in food. Good. Do you have any food stains on your art?
Something little brown on it.
I promise that's chocolate. It's not something vile. If you have a little brown stain on my art, it's Dr. Pepper. Have you seen me drink? I'm a pig. I have a drinking problem. So, yeah, the food's everywhere. Yeah, you can. And Robin is horrified that, you know, when I'm working on a page, I will bend it and I pull it down here. Have you thought about how hard it is to draw? The format is vertical. So you've got this really tall page, and there's a drawing board, and the top tier row is up here. I can't do that. So you pull this thing down here, and you're bending it, and I just wish I could tear the bottom third off. And so, yeah, it's getting all down in here. And to get the top done. And then after it's all over, I kind of shake it out. Yeah, we can sell that for $8,000. So when it's in the studio, when it's in my hands, it's not babied. It's hammered, but it's just part of it, right? It's provenance, right?
It's a character.
It's character.
Probably
It's relict.
on a deadline, I guess, right? Something all-nighter.
Yeah, if it's all-nighter, then it's got tear stains on it. And if you're a guitar player, all my pages come relict. Antique relict. Yes, to the art book. Bob at Graffiti Design is one of my best friends. We're real close. So he's been scanning my stuff. And we've been looking for the big SIP collectors to scan those pages. Because the big SIP collectors have some of my best stuff that I wished I'd never gotten rid of. Big murals and stuff like that. That 2-page mural of Darcy's backyard where she and David are walking. Man, I'm so sorry I let that go. And I let it go for, I don't know, probably like $10, and I went and had lunch, That's how it feels. But anyway, so yeah, I want to do that. The problem is that Batman is more popular. So I have to wait my turn. But hopefully in my lifetime. So that's my new motto, in my lifetime, please. I tell that to the Hollywood people. This is going to happen. Yeah, well, in my lifetime, please. If my stuff hit after I'm dead, I'll be so pissed. Clock's ticking. Yes?
I was at a panel a few years ago where you talked about when you finish Rachel or write something like your own thing, maybe to collaborate with artists so you can write more story. Is that still something that you think about, or is that sort of the path?
I never think about collaborating with other artists right now. I haven't lately. I mean, there's artists that I would say yes, like Adam Hughes, and but I don't know. I love the idea of being in a band where I'm buddies with other creative people who are better than me, and the collective band is even cooler than any of the individuals. The band dynamic. I love the band dynamic. I believe in it, and it's so weird that I've spent my life as a solo because that's not what I ever wanted. I just wanted to be a guitar player in a band, keep my mouth shut, play cool stuff. And now I'm in comics, and I would have loved to have worked, on a great big book and, done that. But I was too opinionated. I wanted to do my stories my way, and I just ended up self-publishing, and it's, you walk alone, everybody's an island. It's weird. 24 years later, here I am with this island that's well furnished. But, I stand on the beach every morning, and where's everybody? So, I would love to be in a band dynamic someday. And maybe the TV show or something like that would do it. But if they cancel it, another reason to be bitter. Did you have a question?
So are there any artists that you either appreciate their work or you would love to work with in terms of doing collaboration? Something that might kind of bring forth more ideas that you have on the file cabinet?
Yeah, but they wouldn't necessarily want to work with me because they're in their own world too, right? So, but yeah, there's artists that I love. I think everybody from Jeff Campbell to Katie Cook. That's the gamut. So, but these people are in their own world. It would be. We would have to probably end up working on something neutral. Like the time I got to work with Amanda Palmer, Amanda Connor, on Birds of Prey. And I have 2 of those pages in my house. I'm so proud of them. She was so clever. She had a great design for the wheelchair and things that went in it and how it worked and all that. It's just stuff I would never think of. And I got to work with Humberto Ramos on Runaways. And for the first time, I felt the freedom to write, you can see all of Malibu Beach in the background. And I didn't have to draw all those houses. It was so, as a writer, it freed me up. Because the later I am on deadline, the more they go into the kitchen to talk, because I don't want to draw any more backgrounds. And if it's one day to go before the deadline, they go into the closet to talk and turn off the light, you know. But when you're working with a real artist, like Umberto, you can send him all this stuff, you know, and he delivers it. He was sending me a page a day. And it would be things like suddenly every window in New York City blows out. And he would draw it, and it would look just gorgeous. And I never would have thought to draw it that way. We had a final scene in the Runaways story that I did where they were it was all happening above and around the Queen Mary over in Long Beach. And oh my God, how cool did that look when he did it? You know, it just you were there. It was so cool. I would have done, you know. There's the bow with the name, okay? So you got it. Here's where we are. Now, extreme close-up for the rest of the whole bit. So, yeah, I love those people. I admire them so much, and those are the real artists, the guys who specialize in it. I'm a cartoonist. I'm just a guy who writes and draws at the same time, and I'm in way over my head. That guy is an illustrator. Those guys are animators, illustrators, they're professionals. So, that's another world. I would love to, but they're also expensive. Yeah. So you do one book with these guys, and the next day they can go out and buy a Porsche. So you have to be able to afford them. Unless you go get the 21-year-old from Portugal who's hot and new. And that's why you see so many new artists at Marvel DC. They'll stay down in the Marvel scale, the working scale, where we need the budgets to be here. And there's these fantastic, classically trained artists all over the world now who can work. South America, Europe, you know, and their art is incredible. So that's one of the things that RTFs and, not RTF, but FTPs and all that have allowed people, you know, in a small town in Spain to become a regular Marvel artist. You know, and that's good because there's gems out there, real great people. It doesn't have to be one of the 12 people you can name here, right? So. Mm-hmm.
What was it like in reverse when we went to Effervescent? About the Willow.
Oh, when I was drawing.
She was writing.
Oh, yeah, I did a Willow and Tara where Amber Benson wrote the script and I drew it. And I just did a script. I just drew a script, an 8-page story for Power Rangers because it's my son's first story that he's going to have published. I'm not a Power Rangers guy, so I had to go to school. And they I finished the pages, sent it to them, and they sent them right back and said, that's not exactly how his shoulder pad works. And you didn't get the right amount of stuff on his utility belt and da-da-da. And I'm like, oh my God, see, I don't do this, you know. All my characters are in T-shirts and jeans. So I was taken to school on how to draw Power Rangers and Lord Zed and Goldthar. Yeah, so there was a lesson in humility to take that project on. But I did it, and they accepted it, and Saban took it. So it's coming out in an anthology near the end of the summer. My son's name is Trey. He's the third. I'm the second. He's the third. In Texas, you always name your thirds Trey, even the girls. But what was the first one? Amber Benson. The reason I took the Amber Benson job was because she had 2 scenes in the script that I'd never seen before anywhere, in film or books or anything. And I thought, that's the coolest visual I've ever seen. I want to draw that. One of them was that the witchcraft had these trees attack a girl, bad girl, and don't feel sorry for her. And the trees attacked her, and the limbs went all through her. And after they were done, after a bunch of creaking, she's way up there at the top of the oak trees, and she's impaled by 100 limbs all over the place. And then there was another scene, a different person, where she was trapped half in the ground, half out of the ground, and the limbs of the tree were growing around her. Those big 100-year-old root limbs over her, under her, completely trapped. And she was like, pop. And I'm thinking, man, God, yeah, I want to draw that. So it's so much fun to draw something that's not a lamp, you know, or a pair of blue jeans. So But she's also a terrific writer. And if you've ever seen her little indie film or something like that, or followed her theater group, I mean, she's great talent. And she has a wonderful foul mouth, which I just love, you know. First time I met her, she hugged me, and I just thought, oh, you're nice. So, and that's back when she was actually still on the Buffy show, and she didn't have to hug anybody, but she was still the sweetest person you could meet here at the show. So I wish her well. And she's still writing, so glad I did it. That's for me. That's Mom. So, yes.
You had mentioned a couple of years ago about writing a novel at some point.
I thought we were going to get through this session without that. The subject of the novel comes up. Again, the comic book deadline. It turns out that I'm really OCD, and thank God I can draw a comic to do something with it. If not, I would be at the corner down by the CVS walking in circles at my navel. But when I'm working on deadline on the comic book, it's so hard for me to do something else because I always seem to be behind. I'm not doing myself any favors. It's because I do things like, suddenly it snows. And do I do Photoshop snow? No. I grab a tiny little pen and every little flake is on there. So I'm not doing myself any favor with the schedule. So I'm not the kind of guy that gets up at 5:30, writes for 2 hours, jogs, has a healthy breakfast, and then goes to, Pilates, and then goes to the pool and relaxes, and that's my day. I wake up in the morning and hose myself off, and I stumble to the drawing board and I draw till lunch and I make nachos, and then I go back and draw some more until dinner, and then I eat dinner, and then I go back up there and look at my guitar and wish I had like 2 hours to play it, but I turn to the page and I still haven't finished putting all those frickin' snowflakes on there. So I go back on, I turn on the late night stuff and I start doing the snowflakes, and by the nighttime hopefully I'm inking. And I'm inking, and about midnight I'll switch over to METV, and I know all those old black and white shows, all the way through Combat at 3 a.m. and all that stuff, and Mr. Lucky and all that. And then the morning crew comes on at 5 a.m., those perky girls talking about J.J. Watt and how hot he is. And then the Today Show comes on, and they're all out there, and I'm just finishing my page. And then I put it on the table and I think, oh, that looks good. And then I go get, the alarm goes off and Robin says, you need to get up. We have a big day today. So that's kind of usually how my day goes. Unless I stop at 4 and I just take a nap on the kid's bed. And I nap for 2 hours. So that's what I've been doing for the last few years. And nowhere in there gets his shit together and writes a novel in the mornings. But I have between now and November to get it started, and once I get it started, I'll get my OCD will kick in. It's like second gear. I just have to get it past first gear. Will you ever bring back Strangers in Paradise to show us their future? Somebody locked in the Antarctica station asked. I want to. I want to come back and do more Strangers in Paradise because I know what they're doing right now. And every time I draw them now, I'm drawing them as they look today. Except for one sketch I did in the sketchbook that was a 19-year-old Francine. But no, that wasn't. That was 26-year-old Francine. You should know that. But yeah, I want to do that. But I am surrounded by people who are telling me that's a bad idea. Every time I want to go back and do Strangers in Paradise. When I'm in November, my plan was to go back and do a short story. I wanted to do that, and because I have a story in mind of what's going on in Santa Fe. There's some drama, and it's not drama between our happy couple. It's drama outside the couple, and our couple goes and helps, as a team. So they have a neighbor who's in trouble because of But, I could just tell you the story here. Lay down on your blanket with your milk and we'll take a nap and I'll tell you a story. One way or the other, that's going to get out to you, I promise. I need to go write that out in notes. So yeah, I have that story in me, and I love them, and I want to bring them back because they're so cool.
Would you prefer doing that as like a monthly or like a mini-series, or just write it all as one chunky book?
You know what? I feel like the only way I could get it done is a monthly, because if I try to do it as a chunk book, that means something else is supporting me, and I was busy doing that. Until I'm independently wealthy, and I know you guys are doing the best you can. You're giving me all you got, but until I can get off the deadline hamster wheel, I don't know how to do two at once. Yeah, maybe the extra income needs to come from a hit record. So I'm going to start a band. It turns out the idea I had when I was 15 was the right idea after all. One last thing I was going to tell you before we split. Oh, the next series is not going to be a long series. I no longer think that I could sustain these long-running series. So I'm planning on doing it for 6 to 8 issues. So Motor Girl is 6 to 8 issues. It'll all be done within a year. And then I will have something absolutely brand new. So maybe the very next one would be, if you guys can go talk all my peeps into it, we could do SIP next. And maybe there needs to be a grassroots petition. I don't know. But, yeah, the anniversary. So maybe for 2018 we can do that. But that's a hell of a long... That's like saying, okay, we're going to have a launch in 2018. Who's that patient? If I want it now. But, so anyway, that's how we're going to do that. I always thought he was a musician. Yeah, I'm an out-of-work musician. It basically is what I am. Yes. Where am I what? My Periscopers, I don't know, but there's like 300 of them watching us right now. And now they're watching you guys.
Yeah, we shout out.
You guys say hi to each other.
You wish you were here.
You really are talking to people in Russia and Europe and, that poor Antarctic space station. The UK, San Jose. Oh, you slacker, get down here. Did you have somebody had a question? Yes.
Kickstarter, have you ever worked with that or thought?
No, I haven't done a quick Kickstarter, and I'm afraid to, because I'm afraid that only 15 people would do it.
As they said about Mystery Science Theater 3000.
And see, that's it. Everybody has a success story. Whoever steps up next is going to fail big time. So it's a Charlie Brown thing. I don't know.
I know small publishers who love it because they just get all the money up front and then they pay for everything.
I know.
Jimmy's good at it.
Jimmy is great at it. It's almost like a pro thing. I'm getting Kickstarter support here on the feed. So there's 2 people here and you, and that's it. You guys have got to ante up. So if you guys, you 2 and you, if you will contribute like $100,000, you can come spend the night at the house and we'll make you dinner. And I'll drive you around in town and show you all the SIP locations. So, and write a song for you. And play it for you in my jammies. Thanks, guys, for coming out. That's the end of the panel. And if you want books or anything, I'll be at the booth. Thank you, guys, in the world.